Blank Game Week 29 is finally here with only 4 fixtures and 8 teams playing. So, how are we going to navigate this in FPL? Let's check it out. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Backup Fantasy Sports. It is Thursday, March 14th. My name is Ewan, and on today's episode, we're going to get into some FPL with a Blank Game Week 29 preview. 8 teams, 4 fixtures. How are we going to navigate it all? Lots to break down. This is not just a free hit episode. I know a lot of people are on free hit this week, so we'll be covering that, but I am not on a free hit. I am going to try and navigate these rough waters with some free transfers and a hit or two possibly, but let's just see what we've got going on in Blank Game Week 29 here. 4 fixtures, like I've said a couple of times now: Burnley, Brentford, Luton, Nottingham Forest, Fulham, Spurs, and West Ham, Aston Villa. 3 of them are on Saturday, 1 of them is on Sunday. Lots of FA Cup games this week, so a lot of teams have been taken out of the running because their opponents or they are playing in the FA Cup quarterfinals this weekend. So, yeah, that's where we are left with. These 8 teams, 4 fixtures across Saturday and Sunday. Not a lot to pick from, not a lot of amazing teams. There weren't a lot of cup sets going around in the 5th round of the FA Cup. So this is where we're at with the 4 fixtures for Blank Game Week 29. Double Game Week 28 just ended last night with a cracking game between Bournemouth and Luton, 4-3, as Bournemouth came all the way back from 3-0 down. Up to 104K in the world now, despite an 8-point hit last week. I believe in Game Week 28's preview, I said that I wanted to almost roll my transfer to try and have 2 transfers for this week. And I took an 8-point hit and still got a green arrow. So it kind of worked out. But yeah, it was a lot of changing things over the last few days before the Game Week 28 deadline. But here we are now, Blank Game Week 29. It's finally here. We've all been prepping for it. So let's see who are the best teams over the next 6 weeks. This might apply to you more if you are not on a free hit this week. Like, who can you bring in this week that could be good long-term targets? So Burnley, Nottingham Forest, Brentford, Fulham, and West Ham are the top 5. To caveat this, all the teams with the blank are in the bottom 12. So that's kind of how these teams ended up in the top 5. But they do have 6 fixtures over the next 6 game weeks. So that's where we're looking if we're not free hitting. I'm currently on wild card 31, possibly 30 if things don't shake out too well over the international break. Let me know what you are going to be, what your chip strategy is in the comments below as you like and subscribe to the channel. Greatly appreciate any support there, and follow me on X at UNFPL. But Brentford is the one I've highlighted here. They've got Burnley this weekend, then Man United, Brighton, Aston Villa, Sheffield United, and Luton. That is a very nice run for a certain Ivan Toney or Johan Wissa, who I know is popular on free hit drafts this week. I wouldn't bring in Wissa if I was not on a free hit. That's just like there's a lot of forward spots that we need. Tony's on penalties, set pieces, so he gives us a little bit more of an edge in that department. Fulham there, Muniz is rising up the charts. Everyone seems to be on him this week. I'm thinking about it, but I don't know if I can go there. There was something that came out this morning that said that Fulham has to pay Broja's from Chelsea. They loaned Broja in January, and they have to pay his £4 million loan fee if he doesn't start this weekend. So just something in the back of our minds. We'll check the press conference for that. Burnley, Nottingham Forest, probably not going to go there. West Ham, Kudus, Bowen, JWP's been subbed a couple of early times, so I'm not sure what his deal is. He would be on penalties and set pieces, so not bad there. But the worst teams here, now they all have blanks, so you can kind of take it for what it is. So over the next, after Game Week 29, these teams will have the worst fixtures here. Crystal Palace, Brighton, Man City, Arsenal, and Wolves. Man City's run of kind of tough fixtures comes to an end in a couple of weeks with Arsenal and Aston Villa at home. Arsenal has Man City, then Luton, Brighton, Aston Villa, and Wolves. So lots of top teams playing each other over the next few weeks as we are using a lot of our chips. Some people play their triple captain or their free hit in Game Week 28 if they were just kind of YOLOing. There's the free hit this weekend. Wild cards have been activated over the last 2 weeks. There's probably going to be more over the next 2 weeks. in game week 30 and game week 31. So lots to consider with the blank this week, then the international break. I'm still on wildcard 31 for me, though. But like I said, let me know what your chip strategy is in the comments below. Here are the FA Cup quarter-final fixtures: Wolves versus Coventry City, Manchester United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Leicester, and Man City versus Newcastle. Looking at this right now, you would probably say Wolves, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man City will advance. That will cause them to blank in game week 34, and that will give us a lot more, a lot better idea of what fixtures are landing where for the rest of the season. So really, after this weekend, we should have a pretty good plan of where the rest of the fixtures are going to land for the remainder of the season. That's why I'm kind of waiting to wild card here after all of this madness has kind of gone through. I think it's supposed to be confirmed by game week 30, but definitely by game week 31 because of like TV picks, European Cup commitments, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, just some extra football to watch on the TV this weekend if the Premier League is not getting it done for you. So I'm going over the top 5 goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and forwards this week. This is kind of like what you would want to do on a free hit, but this is also kind of hitting the assets that you probably want to have in your team if you're not on a free hit. So definitely useful for anyone that is playing FPL this weekend. Timestamps in the description below if you don't want to listen to goalkeepers or defenders or midfielders or forwards. Just skip around. And yeah, this is where we're at. So Flecken, Martinez, Vicario, Trafford, and Kaminsky. Those are the top 5 goalkeepers here. XGP is expected goals prevented. I just couldn't fit prevented in the column there over the last 6. So as you can see, not a lot of glory here. Flecken 1.9 expected goals prevented. That's the best among the 8 keepers this weekend. Kaminsky, Trafford, not so great. Kaminsky last night had 5 saves against Bournemouth. Probably could have saved their 3rd goal from Semenyo, but he still played all right. Just -2 for 4 goals conceded was not ideal. But Flecken and Martinez will be pretty popular on the free hit. I think I'd lean with Flecken just because Burnley have scored the least amount of goals at home in the Premier League this season. Martinez takes up a kind of vital Aston Villa spot. If you want to triple up on them, I wouldn't go with their defense because they have been shipping a little bit more goals recently. Spurs have kept 1 clean sheet this in 2024, so don't really trust them. And then you've got Burnley and Luton just not feeling it there. So I think Flecken will be the most popular goalkeeper. I have Kaminsky and Areola as options for my goalkeeper. I'm leaning Kaminsky right now. He just seems to get a little bit more save points. And Luton play Nottingham Forest, so that could be clean sheet potential. But I think I would go Flecken, then maybe Kaminsky as my second keeper if I was on a free hit. Defenders here, very Tottenham heavy. Alfie Doughty tops the charts here. He had an assist last night against Bournemouth. Probably should have had a second one if Carlton Morris remembered how to head a football. That would have gone up 4-1. Would have been glory days, but alas, not meant to be for the Luton man. Pedro Porro here, 3.55 predicted points. All these predicted points are from the rotoballer.com rankings. Go check that out. We just launched our game week 29 preview. We've got betting picks, the rankings. We've got another long preview from our new edition FPL manual, Wale. So definitely check out all the content there. And then Brandon will have DFS picks on Saturday morning for you guys. Pedro Porro, Destiny Udogi, Romero, and Ayer here for Brentford down at the bottom. The defense isn't looking all that great. You're banking on attacking returns because it's highly likely that there will not be a clean sheet. I think Brentford have the best clean sheet odds at 29%. So we're not really banking on clean sheet points here, which is why I'm not super inclined to bring in a defender for a 4-point hit this week, as I'm not really sure how it's going to pay off. I've got Doughty. I've got Charlie Taylor. I might just roll with 2 at the back and save my transfers for the midfield and the forwards. But here, I think a lot of people have Doughty after he's had 2 double game weeks in the last 4 or 5 game weeks here. He did have a blank in game week 26 because of the Carabao Cup final, but Doughty still looked good. He's got a great delivery on him. Probably should have had 2 assists last night. Paro is up there as well. I think a lot of people are still on him, 5.8 million. So he's a little bit more expensive, but if you're on a free hit without Holland, without Salah, without Saka, money is not going to be a problem for you in your free hit draft. So that's something to consider there. Udogi has had a little bit better of an XGI over the last 6 game weeks compared to Paro, 0.13 compared to 0.09, but still not that great. And then, yeah, so not really enamored with any of the defender picks, but these would be the top 5 here. Doughty kind of feels like a must own if you're on a free hit. I already have him without a free hit because of his double game weeks and stuff like that. But yeah, they have a pretty tasty fixture against Nottingham Forest, and Doughty leads the league over the last 6 game weeks in crosses, successful crosses, and chances created. So definitely whips it in. Hopefully, Carlton Morris and Ross Barkley and others can get on some of these crosses for the Luton defender here. Moving on to the midfielders. Spurs heavy again. So their fixture against Fulham is going to kind of make or break a lot of these free hit drafts. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to triple Spurs. There is a slight possibility that Richarlison can make a miraculous recovery and be ready for the weekend. That would help out a lot, would probably prevent me from taking a hit. But right now we've got Son, Madison, Bowen, Leon Bailey, and Morgan Gibbs-White as the top 5 midfielders that you should be looking at this weekend. Son is pretty much non-negotiable. If you are on a free hit, you need to have him. If you're not on a free hit, you need to have him. If you're starting your FPL team in game week 29, you need to have him as well. Just phenomenal asset player, plays 90 minutes, had 2 goal contributions in injury time last week. So he's going to play all 90 minutes. He's going to be bombing up and down the field. If Richarlison's not going to be fit, he will be playing up front for Spurs, which is even better for him. Just getting in the box constantly. So 5.29 predicted points. That's the most among any player this weekend for Blank Gameweek 29. 9.9. So he will likely be the most expensive asset you have in your team. 0.58 XGI per 90 over the last 6 game weeks. But Madison here, 8 million, 4.54 predicted points, 0.44 XGI per 90. Hasn't looked super on it since he returned from a long-term injury, but he did grab the goal last weekend. So that's like encouraging, obviously, but he's not a must own for me. If you're on a free hit, you probably just want him as coverage. But if you're not on a free hit, I don't think you have to go out of your way to get James Madison for a Blank Game Week 29. Bowen was disappointing after the Burnley game, brought him in pretty much for this 2-week punt here. So hopefully he can reward me against Aston Villa. 0.32 XGI per 90 over the last 6, but 4.32 predicted points. So 1 attacking return would be worth it. That would help out with the hit that I took to get him. Didn't come through for Burnley, but hopefully he comes through on Sunday. Leon Bailey here has looked super electric. In attack, 5.7 million, so not really a problem to get him in as a price point. 4.18 predicted points, 0.66 XGI per 90. Actually leads all of these top 5 midfielders here in XGI per 90 over the last 6 game weeks. And then Morgan Gibbs-White, 5.7 million, 3.94 predicted points, 0.36. We just saw what Semenyo did to Luton last night. So Morgan Gibbs-White could have a pretty nice day on the right wing for Forest. I'm not sure. He's kind of my punty pick if I use one of my free or my one free transfer on him. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards as a kind of fun pick, like off the beaten path, like kind of ignore Madison, ignore Bailey, but go Gibbs-White, because Luton, I mean, they played a great first half of football, and then they were gassed in the second half. They got absolutely scorched. So we'll see if that's going to affect them in Saturday's game. But I might wait until Saturday to make that transfer. Moving on to the forwards, the top 2 kind of pick themselves here. So Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins, if you're on a free hit, you want both of those guys. Tony's 8.1 million, 4.91 predicted points, 0.33 XGI per 90. So it hasn't been great for Tony over recent weeks, but he's on penalties. He's got set pieces. He's got good fixture. So it does feel like if you're on free hit, you should go with him. He has some pretty good fixtures as well. If we go back to the fixtures here, so Brentford over the next 6 game weeks, they got Burnley away, Man United at home, Brighton at home, Aston Villa away, Sheffield United at home, and Luton away. So that's a pretty good run of fixtures for anyone. But Ivan Toney, he's shown us his potential in the past, and it's been a few down weeks, but it feels like now is the time to kind of get on him. I think he has the potential to really punish the non-free hitters if you don't have him in your side. And he's a pretty good long-term hold as well, as those Brentford fixtures are not all that bad. Ollie Watkins, pretty much everyone has him, so don't need to talk about him too much. 0.81 XGI per 90 is a good captaincy option next to Sung Hyung Min. I think a lot of people are going to be going Sun. I'm still kind of up in the air. West Ham are not that good of a defense either, so I think their poor defensive record is being slightly overlooked by the FPL community. So Watkins is certainly a good second option as a captain if for some reason you don't have Sung Hyung Min or you don't want to go with him as your captain. Carlton Morris, unlucky last night, probably could have had 1 or 2 goals, 0.64 XGI per 90 over the last 6 game weeks, 4.42 predicted points, according to the rotoballer.com rankings, 5.2 million. So you don't really need to worry about his price point. But is Muniz the star of FPL over the last couple of game weeks here? 3.61 predicted points against Spurs, 4.5 million. 0.60 XGI per 90. Is he going to start that Broha thing? Broya, little tidbit of news is something to monitor. So I think that will be kind of a deadline decision if you bring him into your free hit draft. Fulham don't have the worst fixtures in the world. If we check those out again, Tottenham, Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, West Ham, and Liverpool. So Tottenham, not a tough fixture, but then the next 4, Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle at home, and West Ham. Those are some of the worst defenses in the league. So that's kind of nice as well. But I do want to 4.5 million, kind of tough. I mean, you can just put him on your bench, but it does take up a vital forward spot in the long term, but could be worth it on a free hit. That way you don't have to commit to him long term either. And Yohan Wissa, he has been pretty popular, I've heard, seen in the FPL community on X. 5.6 million, 3.24 predicted points, 0.45 XGI per 90. I just think that feels kind of trappy to me. Tony is just like a very obvious, like he's on pens, he's on set pieces. So if you've got Flecken and you've got Tony already, I don't know if you need to triple up on Brentford, but if you want to, Wissa would be the third option I would probably go with there. I don't think they're going to keep a clean sheet, so I don't think you really need to or they've got a 29% chance of keeping a clean sheet, so it's not likely that they keep one, but that is kind of your third Brentford option there. But yeah, Tony and Watkins kind of select themselves, and then you can kind of just pick one of these last 3 guys as your third forward if you're going 3-4-3 on your free hit. Here is my free hit draft here. So I would go with Flecken in goal, Kabore, Paro, and Doughty at the back. I do have Alex Moreno there as another option. Kabore against Nottingham Forest wouldn't be a bad option either. But in the midfield, I've got Bowen, Son, Madison, Kudus. Up front, Watkins, Morris, and Tony. Now, this looks pretty templatey compared to all the free hit drafts. But the thing is, your free hit will be a differential because not everyone is going to own all these players. So despite your team probably looking like everything else that you're going to see on X over the next couple of days, the team that you have is going to be so different than everyone else that's not playing a free hit. And if you're not activating your free hit chip, you kind of want to get as close to this team as you can. Not like exactly, but you want to have some Spurs, you want to have Watkins, Son, Bowen, probably Tony. I've got Tony as the captain there, but that was just a misclick by me. But yeah, these are kind of, you want to get to these big 5 options down here. So the top 5 over here are Son, Tony, Watkins, Madison, and Morris. These are kind of Morris, you could probably go without, switch him out for one of the other forwards that we were just talking about there. But yeah, Son, Tony, Watkins, they feel pretty non-negotiable. I've got 2 of them already. I've got 3 of these top 5, but I will probably have 4 of these top 5 by the time the deadline rolls around on Saturday. Captaincy debate. I did pick 3 here. So Son, Tony, Watkins, they're all on the road, but Son leads with 5.29 predicted points, Tony 4.91, Watkins 4.84. FPL points over their last 6 games because Son was out for a little bit there. So he scored 44 points over his last 6. Tony is down to 19, which is a little discouraging, and Watkins is up at 57, which is phenomenal. So I don't think Tony is going to be in the captaincy debate all that much, but I don't think there's a lot to choose between Son and Watkins. West Ham's pretty bad defense. Fulham could try to kind of frustrate Spurs a little bit. But yeah, Watkins 0.81 XGI per 90 over the last 6. Yeah, the narratives are going to be like, well, Son only scored his points in the last 10 minutes of the game on Saturday or Sunday, whenever they played. And then it's like, well, that's the haul potential he has. Whereas Watkins is kind of a goal scorer. He does have a lot of assists or FPL assists this year. So maybe I'll take that one back. But yeah, Watkins versus Son, it's going to come down to that. I'm leaning Son right now just because I mean, Watkins is a huge differential, but Son is going to be captained by so many people that it's probably not worth the risk of going against him in blank game week 29. So probably we'll just play it safe there. Been slowly climbing the rankings, 104K now in the world. So hopefully I'm expecting a red arrow this week, just because there's going to be so many people on a free hit that will be able to get out 11, and I'm not sure I'll be able to get out 9. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm expecting a red arrow, but the best I can do is just get as many of the best coverage picks as possible, and then I will try to make that up in double game week 34 or 37, whenever it happens to be. FPL Review says I should take an 8-point hit, which worked out for me last week, but Solanke to Tony feels pretty locked in. Van Heck to Paro, Saka to Morgan Gibbs-White, or Saka to Bailey. That's kind of my 2 options there. Solanke to Tony is definitely happening. But like I said, like, is a 4-point hit for Paro really going to pay off all that much? We'll see. That's maybe the second transfer I would make. I don't think I want to go down 8 points right off the bat to free hitters. That seems highly problematic to if I want any hopes of a green arrow in blank game week 29. So an 8-point hit seems kind of crazy. I really don't mind having I don't mind holding Saka because I know they play Man City in game week 30, but that's not really a huge problem for me, as Saka can kind of score against whoever he wants, despite some weird narratives going on last week that he couldn't score against anyone that wasn't relegation fodder. But yeah, no, Saka is like probably going to be a keep for me. But yeah, I'm not really loving any of these options. Solanke to Tony is just kind of an obvious one, so I'll probably do that just as my free transfer for sure. I think I'm going to have to take a hit to get out another option, but I'm just not sure who yet. If I do Van Heck to Pedro Paro, I still have enough money to go from like a Richarlison or a Jared Bowen to a Mohamed Salah in game week 30. So that's definitely something you want to think about as well with your transfers. Is Mohamed Salah is probably going to be the best captaincy option in game week 30. Holland plays Arsenal, which is a tremendous defense, so you don't really want to mess with them there. So yeah, you want to make sure that you have the money to bring in Salah for game week 30, and then I'm going to wild card in 31. So that will kind of be where I'm at. Fantasy Football Hub says I should bank my free transfer this week, which is a very interesting strategy. But yeah, Solanke to Tony feels like the obvious option. Tony, set pieces, penalties, got a good fixture against Burnley. Feels like an obvious pick. Solanke got the goal last night, 2 bonus points, so he made up for his penalty miss on Saturday to begin double game week 28. Here is my squad right now. As you can see, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys out there. Richarlison on there as well, so that would be 8 if he makes a miraculous recovery, but I'm not expecting it. So 7 guys. If I can get to 9 with a hit, that would be nice. Richarlison might just come out because if he's not going to be back till game week 30 or March 30th, like the red flag is saying, he could be a casualty there. But Yeah, Solanke to Tony is definitely happening, and then maybe Richarlison to Morgan Gibbs White is what I'm thinking about doing as well, unless we get some crazy reports that Richarlison is back in training. Paro could come in for Saliba, as well as Arsenal have a tough fixture against Man City, and Tottenham have has a okay run of fixtures coming up over the next few game weeks. But yeah, not expecting a very high scoring game week. As you can see, Fantasy Football Hub 40.9 points predicted for my squad for Blank Game Week 29 as of right now. After I take my transfer and a hit, it'll hopefully creep up there a little bit. But yeah, it's not going to be a pretty game week. I expect this to hopefully I can stay within like the top 125K after this game week. That would be ideal. But yeah, not a super in depth episode this week. Just covering the 4 fixtures, getting it out nice and simple. Blank or double game week 28 just ended last night. So I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. But let me know in the comments below if you are going to be on free hit, what your chip strategy is, who you're thinking about bringing in with all these blank game weeks roaming around. But yeah, that'll do it. I'll be tweeting out some news on my X account at UNFPL. So definitely follow me on there. Like and subscribe to the channel or podcast wherever you're watching and listening. But once again, thanks for watching and listening, and I will talk to you next time.